What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Xfeng. Alright guys, so I've got a really random question of the day for you. If you could give anyone in history a wedgie, who would it be and why? I really can't wait to hear your responses right down there in the comments box below. I'm going to go with Da Vinci, just because it'll be really random and weird and funny, and I just really would love to see his reaction, but that's me. I want to hear from you guys out there. Just drop a comment right down there. So today's video is going to be all about this guy right here, the Snowwolf Xfeng, a 230 watt box mod that takes two 18650s with a big shout out and thank you going to Sigeli for allowing me to take a look at this device for the purpose of making this video. And this one has been one of my daily drivers for quite some time now, probably the past month or so. This has been in my bag pretty much the entire time. I've taken this around with me as well, just because it's a nice, simple, solid little mod. So taking a look online, this device comes in a variety of different colors and styles for you guys to choose from. You have your standard black one like I have here. This has the gold accents on it. You also have what's called Jungle, which is kind of a graphics sort of based one, and it has a bunch of stuff all over it. I haven't seen it in person. I really couldn't tell you much about that one. You have a woodland camo version, and then you have your high class versions that come in gunmetal and white. The standard version is going to run you $59, but the high class versions are an extra $10 charge there. And if you guys want to pick one up for yourself, I'll leave a link right down there in the description below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive down to the close-up view and take a better look at this thing. Alright guys, so as you can see, we've got the Xfeng in its original box, or I guess tin in this case. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look around, and then we'll take a look inside. First and foremost, we have this lovely display tin, as you can see here, with this little graphic on the background, kind of a black swirly design. Hopefully you guys can see that a little bit better. And anyways, yeah, cool looking tin if you ask me. It's got these gold accents. Snowwolf Xfeng, picture of the device. Right here we have Xfeng. On this side here we have our color indication and model indication, whether it's the standard mod or the kit. This is just the mod only. Snowwolf Xfeng once again, and on this side here we have a whole bunch of warnings, warnings, and more warnings. On the back we have UPC, little QR code Xfeng, what it comes with, some of the basic specs, and the scratch-off authentication thing right there. Alright, so let's pop the lid off here real quick and we'll take a look at what we get inside. First thing is the little warranty card there. We've seen this time and time again. You should be used to this by now. Yes, keep your original receipt. Then we have the little Snowwolf how to use your scratch-off authentication little thing there. There you go. We have some screen protectors, which is definitely a sign of things to come with this device here, in my opinion. We have the user manual, which is booklet style, really nice. A little bit on the tiny words, kind of tiny print and less graphic side, but overall it's acceptable. Then we have our QC certificate, as you can see here. Mine passed QC. Look at that, good for you. And then we have a little bit of foam. We have the device itself. There we have it. And let me guess. I'm going to guess a USB cable. What do you guys think? If we can ever get it out of here. There we go. I'm guessing USB cable. Well, wouldn't you look at that? It's a USB cable. Another one to add to the big old pile next to my desk. Alright guys, let's talk about the specs. First of all, it takes two high-amp 18650 batteries. The wattage output range is 10 to 230 watts. The voltage output range is 1 to 7.5 volts. Minimum atomizer resistance is 0.05 ohms. It supports nickel, titanium, and stainless steel. Temp control coefficient of resistance adjustments include power modes, soft, normal, and hard, customizable DIY mode, preheat functionality, high-quality zinc alloy construction, stylish front and back reflective panels. It has a 1.3-inch TFT full color display, oversized firing button, two adjustment buttons, magnetized battery door, and it has a spring-loaded 510 connection. Alright guys, let's get this Snowwolf up and running. First thing we're going to do is flip it over. It's got this little notch right there for the battery door. I'm just going to do that. We're going to throw some batteries in here real quick. Make sure you go from the spring-loaded side first. Flip the ribbon over and the opposite there. There we go. Just going to tuck our ribbon into place. Boom. Magnetized back door. Perfect. And it's already on. Yeah, this thing pretty much comes on instantly. Not a lot of waiting around with this device here. Right now it's in wattage mode. If you want to switch modes, just click the button 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And it's going to get into your menu. You have your mode setting right there. Click that. Then you have power, nickel, TCR, titanium, and stainless steel. We're just going to go back to power for right now because that's what I like to use it in. Going back to the menu real quick, you have your settings right there. So you have power saver, reset your puff counter, preheat, and user interface. So you can change your user interface if you wanted to. I like it where it's at. I like that one a lot, so we're just going to stay there. So just your basic wattage up and wattage down buttons at the bottom here. Wattage down on this side, and it goes pretty quick if you click and hold it, but you can also adjust it with 0.1 increments if you just tap the button. And your wattage up is, of course, on this side here. If you hold both buttons at the same time, that function is for temp control, so you can adjust your wattage. If you hold the fire button and the power up button, you get this little battery life indication, which is really nice because it's a little bit more accurate than the little tiny one on the screen. So if you hold the fire button and the wattage down button at the same time, it's actually a button lock, so now I can't adjust my wattage, as you can see there. Same thing to unlock it, just the fire button and the wattage down button at the same time once again, and that will unlock it. So pretty darn simple right there. All you have to do to turn this thing on and off is 5 clicks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it shuts off. And it only takes about a second to shut off, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it turns back on again. Otherwise, you have your little USB port right there on the side for firmware updates and charging. It charges pretty darn quick with this little USB port here, but I always recommend you guys get a external battery charger just to be on the safer side. You have the back panel here, which has this little zodiac sort of display thing. Not the biggest fan of that, to be honest. Nice big firing button on this side. No issues with that whatsoever. Nice and clicky, nice and tactile. A little bit on the cheapy feeling, but not too bad. And spring-loaded 510 connection that feels pretty darn rock solid. So there we go. That's pretty much all there is to show with the Snowwolf Xfeng here. Let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the close-up section of the video. Now let's talk about my personal thoughts about this device, some pros, some cons, and whether or not it's worth purchasing. Starting off with the pros, and my first pro is that it's easy to use. This thing has the exact same user interface as the Xfeng, and it's fairly simple. Honestly, there's just 3 buttons on this thing. The fire button up and down there, and the menu system is very, very simple to navigate, and that's what I love about this device. It's easy for someone to just pick it up, slap a tank on top of there, set your wattage, and you're off and vaping in a couple of minutes, and it's really easy for newer vapors as well. My second pro for this one is that it feels very solid. This thing feels like it's not going to break anytime soon. I feel like I could just kind of throw it in my vape bag and take it with me wherever I want to go, and it's going to be just fine no matter what I do to this thing. It's going to see some wear and tear just like anything else, but at the end of the day, I really feel like this thing is not going to fall apart. My third pro for this one is that it has a centered 510. Now, that's something that I can really appreciate because personally, I love centered 510s on mods, and it just looks good from all different angles. No matter which way you look at this thing, it's going to look nice and straight right there in the middle, and that's just something I look for when I'm shopping for a mod. And my fourth and final pro for this one is the magnetic battery door. Now, that is definitely something I also look for in a mod nowadays because I feel like over time with the battery doors on the bottom, they're going to eventually wear out. They're going to eventually break, especially with a lot of wear and tear, and just kind of placing your mod down or dropping it, anything like that, you're going to eventually break that door. Now, with this one here, the worst that's going to happen is these magnets might fall out, but that's not a big deal. You can pretty much just super glue them back into place and you're good to go. Alright guys, so moving on to the cons, my first con is that it's not the most ergonomic mod. Let's face it, this has a very similar kind of look and feel to the Xfeng. Obviously, it's a little bit smaller in stature, which is great. However, it still has a lot of those kind of sharp edges and lines and that kind of thing. Plus, you could feel these ridges along the side piece there when you're holding on to it, which doesn't make for a great overall experience. However, it doesn't affect the performance of the device whatsoever. My second con for this one is just the general lack of appeal. Honestly, this thing does nothing overly special that makes me want to go out and buy it right away. It has 2 18650s and it goes up to 230 watts, which is great, but it's just kind of the status quo nowadays, and I feel like people are innovating and pushing the market forward towards more battery life, which I'm totally okay with because personally that's what I look for in a mod. As far as mod choices nowadays, I tend to gravitate more towards the 2700 or the 21700 devices rather than the dual 18650s, just because I like that little bit more convenience factor to it. But This one here just kind of feels like it's the last of a dying breed. And my third and final con is definitely subjective, but personally I feel like this one is ugly. Really not a big fan of the overall aesthetic. It kind of has that sort of industrial sort of look, just like the Xfeng, and it's got this big hunk of plastic on the front held on by 4 big screws. Same thing with the back piece here. It's got that big hunk of plastic with these zodiac symbols on it. Not sure what that's all about. I'm really not a big fan of that personally, but it doesn't affect the mod performance whatsoever, so obviously it's subjective. Some of you guys will care, some of you guys won't. So at the end of the day, is this device worth purchasing? Would I go out of my way to pick one of these up if I didn't get this one in for a review? And I'm just kind of on the fence about this one. Honestly, around the $60 mark is kind of, it's a little bit expensive for what it is, and it just really doesn't appeal to my sensibility when it comes to practicality for devices nowadays. And as far as the dual 18650 thing goes, like I said, I tend to gravitate more towards the dual 2700 or 21700 mods. So with this one here, it's a nice little banger if you just want a simple cheap mod to kind of throw in your vape bag to use when you don't feel like using your more expensive ones or whatever. But otherwise, it just kind of is what it is. It's just a simple little dual 18650 mod. But if you guys want to pick one up for yourself, just make sure you check out the links I've got right down there in the description below. But that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget to click that notification bell right next to the subscribe button if you want to be alerted whenever I upload videos. Big shout out to you guys in the notification squad for getting here early. Also, leave me some comments in the box below. I'd love to hear your thoughts all about the Xfeng or anything else you guys want to talk about down there. Make sure you check out the advocacy and my social media links right down there in the box below. Fundthesuit.org, guys. Make sure you pay attention to that. Give what you can, and just make sure you keep up the advocacy fight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, vape on. Blah, 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 blah.